When amateurs homebrew their own transmitters, they tend to stay on HF or lower because they think anything above that is too difficult. However, in this video, I will show you that getting on 2-meter AM is as simple as 4 transistors. The circuit starts with a simple third overtone oscillator for 29 MHz. The way it works is by creating a transistor amplifier which has feedback with a 9.6 MHz crystal. But since crystals also have feedback on the harmonics, the 29 MHz harmonic is selectively filtered using a tuned circuit on the output. That 29 MHz signal is fed into another amplifier which has a 1.8 microhenry choke on the output. This 1.8 microhenry choke means that lower frequencies, such as 29 MHz, are not favored, whereas higher frequencies, such as 58 MHz and higher, are. This means that it is effectively a doubler circuit. This 58 MHz plus harmonics signal is fed into another amplifier stage, which has a very low value inductor, meaning that very high frequency signals, such as ones on 145 MHz and up, are favored, whereas lower frequency ones, like the 29 MHz, the 58 MHz, and so on, are not. This is finally fed into a 10 picofarad capacitor, which will make the lower frequencies effectively disappear, as 10 picofarad on 29 MHz is quite a high resistance, whereas on 145 MHz it's very low, only something like 100 ohms. Now, we will see in the tests that I should add a low-pass filter, as there is one harmonic on 174 MHz that is still quite strong. And lastly, the way that the circuit is modulated is from an electret microphone, which has its own little amplifier inside that needs to be biased, in this case with a 27 kilo ohm resistor. The output of that is fed into a high impedance amplifier. High impedance means that it favors voltage over current gain, so a high voltage is fed through a decoupling capacitor into the final stage, which means that it will modulate the output, as this higher voltage will make the biasing of the output transistor fluctuate, which means that the gain will increase and decrease, effectively creating amplitude modulation. I decided on pretty ugly dead bug construction because it will eliminate the parasitic capacitance between the traces on a perf board. Ugly or beautiful, that is the question. To test the transmitter, I recorded a simple audio file saying my call sign and then reporting that it's a 2-meter beacon test, as well as a 1 kHz tone followed by a 400 Hz tone. Unfortunately, the microphone on my computer is not great, so this is what it sounds like.
2-meter AM beacon test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM.
But it works. It does the job it needs to do. I have it set up on top of a pile of books, with the antenna acting like a vertical dipole. It's running off of 13.4 volts DC.
1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM beacon test. AM beacon test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM beacon test. 2-meter AM beacon test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM beacon test. Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM beacon test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM beacon test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Oscar. 2-meter AM test. AM test. Victor Alpha Lima Oscar. 2-liter AM test. 2-liter AM test. Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Lima Oscar. 2-liter AM test. Alpha Lima
It's also
Oscar.
worth noting
2-liter
that if the receiver is tilted to the side, I get a better reading in terms of power.
Victor Alpha 1 Alpha
As you
Lima
can see,
Oscar.
vertically it's
2-liter
S2,
AM test.
horizontally it's S5.
Victor Alpha 1 Alpha Lima Oscar. 2-liter AM test. Victor Alpha 1
This shows how
Alpha
much the
Lima
polarization
Oscar.
makes a difference,
2-liter
even though
AM
it's a vertical dipole. It's
Victor
very much
Alpha 1
horizontally polarized.
Alpha Lima.
Now that I'm pretty far away from the transmitter source and I'm getting a pretty good signal, I'm going to try listening to the other harmonics of 29 megahertz, because the circuit just takes that 29 megahertz signal and puts it through a few selective amplifiers. And the only detectable harmonics are on the one that we want, 144, as well as 174, which just means I should add a low-pass filter to the output.